The truth.
What's up, YouTube? Team Dark right here with set reveal for King's Court. We finally have the whole list announced. This set's coming out in, like, I believe it's 2 weeks now. It's coming out July 9th for regular stores and July 8th, I believe, for the OTS stores. So let's get into it. So we know what Arcanotron Joker finally does. It's a level 10 light monster, light warrior with question mark attack, 2500 defense. It's pretty interesting. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can just send one of the Knight's cards, Queens, Kings, or Jack's Knight, from your hand or face-up monster into the graveyard and special summon this card. So it's pretty important that this happens either in hand or graveyard. And this card gains 500 attack based on the number of cards in both players' hands. So I think that's pretty damn decent to get, like, you know, if I have 5, like Evan has 5, right, in our hands, and we have this card in the field, it's a pretty beefy card. On top of that, if you discard one card, you could destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls that's the same type as the card you discarded. So, for example, if I discard a monster card, then I can destroy all face-up monsters on my opponent's side of the field, and same with spell or trap. So I thought that's pretty. It's like a budget lightning store. So I thought that was pretty good for this card. And then we finally have the most anticipated card of the set, Joker's Knight. They call it the Magician's Souls for warriors. Let's see if it actually folds up to it. You can send one Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight from the deck to the graveyard, special this card from your hand, and if you do, this card's name becomes the sent monster's name until the end phase. During the end phase, if this card's in your graveyard, you could target one other light warrior monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Joker's Knight once per turn. I guess you can say it's kind of like Magician's Soul. It's not exactly like Magician's Soul. It's not as good as that card, but I still say it's pretty good for this deck if you're going to run a King's Knight, Queen's Knight, Jack's Knight engine, or even good for, like, in general, like light warrior decks or chaos warrior decks. I think this introduces the whole chaos warrior deck, if that's even a playable thing, really, just because you can mess around with it with other light monsters, light warriors, like, for example, light sworn cards. You can recur them back, like some of those light warriors, like Jane or Gareth. The next we have is Imperial Bower, or Bower, I don't even know how to say that. It's a level 4 light warrior monster. If you control no other monsters, you contribute this card, take 2 different monsters from your deck among Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight, and either add it to your hand or special summon each monster. You can only use the effect once per turn. I thought this was pretty interesting because this essentially gets you into, like, 3 monsters on board, because you just get Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and then get Jack's Knight from the deck. Pretty good, because it doesn't negate their effects, especially King's Knight's effect. So I thought that's pretty decent.
Wait, does it special summon King's Knight, or?
It's special summon. You can either add it to your hand or special summon.
Because then you'd have to have another normal summon, right?
Oh, yeah, true.
King's Knight really activates on normal summon.
Yeah, true. But I mean, at least you could swarm the field with 2 cards. It's something.
I mean, yeah, it's still, like, not that bad.
Yeah, and not to mention, if you run Joker's Knight in the deck, you can do the Joker's Knight with this, because you can special summon this from your hand by dumping the 1 card, and it becomes that card. So you technically will have 3 of them on the field if you have these 2 together. So, like, for example, if I special Joker's Knight by dumping King's Knight, let's say, right? And a normal Imperial Bower tribute. Well, if I first had a normal Imperial Bower tribute itself, get Queen's Knight and, like, King's Knight, for example, get them onto the field, right, by the special summoning effect, and then special summon Joker's Knight by dumping Jack's Knight to my grave. I special summon Joker's Knight like that, and it's also considered Jack's Knight. So I have all 3 on my field, technically, to go into Arcana Knight Joker if I want to go to. You know? It could work like that.
Yeah.
And then we have the next card, Joker Straight. Discard 1 card, special summon 1 Queen's Knight from your deck, add 1 King's Knight or Jack's Knight from your deck to your hand, then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 monster. You cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except for light warrior monsters. During the end phase, if this card's in your graveyard, you can target 1 light warrior monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Joker Straight once per turn. I think it's pretty good. You can recycle this card, and you could also recycle cards like Imperial Bower and you could recycle Imperial Bower and Joker's Knight back into the deck, just use it again. I thought that's pretty good. I thought that's pretty decent. I think it's mainly targeted toward Imperial Bower, since none of the cards are really target that card specifically. But I think this is a pretty decent deck. Pretty decent card, just to special summon from your deck to your hand.
Yeah, it's got some interesting, like, plays.
Yeah, and then you have Face Card Fusion. Fusion summon one Light Warrior fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. If you control a Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight, you could also use one monster from your deck as fusion material.
It's actually pretty big with the Imperial Bender.
Yes.
Or whatever is it? Yeah, because like, okay, you send, use that, you get to activate this, use one from deck as well, and it's automatically Arcana Knight Joker.
Yeah. Or even just with one Joker's Knight. Dump with one Joker's Knight. You'll have technically a Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight on the field. You can activate this. If you have like another one of the knights in your hand, still goes off. If you have another, especially if you have another knight in the deck as well, so you'll have to run a second copy of one of the knights in the deck technically then. Just for letting you know, guys, we know this is an ultra rare. We know Joker's Knight's an ultra rare. We know Imperial Bender is an ultra rare, as well as Joker Straight. We're pretty sure Face Card Fusion is a super rare, and Thunder Speed Summon, which we're about to get to right now, it should be a super rare as well. And this card is a quick play spell. During the main phase or battle phase, immediately after the effect resolves, normal summon one level 10 monster, or if you control Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight, you have to have all three, you can apply this effect instead. Add one level 10 non-dark monster with question mark attack from your deck to your hand, then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one level 10 monster. So, what this actually means is, this card, if you have those three knights on the field, you can immediately get out Arcana Trump Joker if you want to special summon it to the field, or normal summon even. Or your other option is, since this says non-dark monster level 10 with question mark attack, you could also search out Slifer and the Wind Dragon Ra, and if you want to like mess with your opponent also, you can also get out the Wind Dragon Ra Sphere mode, and then add to your hand, immediately normal summon, tributing your opponent's monsters off. Just saying. I think this is actually a pretty decent card, but it's very situational in the fact that you're having Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight. But if you're running a very dedicated Knight deck, I think you can get this out easily. You can use this card easily. Fairly easily. But I think it's a decent card for anybody who's running like the God card Knights deck, which I am going to do that if I can get my hands on these cards. But yeah, and then the next card is Joker's Wild, which I believe is also Joker's Wild and Court of Cards are supposed to be both reverse. During the main or battle phase, send one spell from your deck to the graveyard that specifically lists all of Queen's Knight, King's Knight, Jack's Knight. This effect becomes a spell when that card is activated. During the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you could target one Light Warrior monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. You can only use the effect of each effect of Joker's Wild once per turn. Decent card. The fact they can emulate any of these spell cards, so Face Card Fusion or Thunder Speed Summon, or even Joker Straight. The fact that it can emulate these cards, I think is pretty decent.
Yeah, for a trap, it's honestly fine.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Like, it's not as good as a Searcher would be if it was like a Searcher spell, but still, it's honestly not that bad.
Yeah. Then we have Court of Cards. It's a continuous trap. If you control no monsters or only control Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and or Jack's Knight, so you can only have you can each run one of them. You can special summon one Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight from your hand or graveyard. You can banish up to one each Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and or Jack's Knight from your hand or graveyard. Draw the same number of cards you banished. You can only use one Court of Card effect per turn, and only once a turn. So that's pretty decent, I guess. Banish one of the knights from your hand or graveyard and just draw a card. So you could technically draw up to 3 cards per turn if you happen to have a Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight readily available to banish.
I mean, yeah, that's honestly not that hard anymore, especially since when you have Joker's Knight to dump.
Yeah, but again, this card only works if you're running a pure Queen's Knight, King's Knight, Jack's Knight deck, because then you'll have to have multiple copies of this. Because if you're running this in an engine, you're technically only gonna be running one Queen's, King's, or Jack's, so you don't want to get rid of them technically. You don't want to banish them because you want them to reuse the Jokers and everything, all those effects. So this card's okay, but I don't see this card being used as much as the other cards. Really, realistically.
Honestly, I disagree though. I think it could be pretty dang powerful, especially with something like Pot of Acquisitiveness, like banishing them all, then putting them also back into your deck.
I guess, but yeah,
I don't know. I think this could be a cool card.
I don't know. We'll see some weird table of hundred plays for like in the future. We'll see that for sure. Magnet Induction. So we're off of the Knights of the Round Table cards. Now we're into a new Magnet Warrior support card, which I didn't see this coming, honestly. If you control a Magnet Warrior whose original level is 4 or lower, special one level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior from your deck with a different name than the card you control. Also, for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, Magnet Warriors and Magna Warrior monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or by your opponent's card effects. You can only use it once per turn. Pretty decent card. It's just a nice extender. It's a nice extender just to go off, really. I mean, I don't feel like this is going to make Magnets tier 2 or tier 1, but, like, I mean, it's going to make it a more fun, casual deck. Especially for a deck that was, the cards were introduced, I think, it was like 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, a while.
It was a long time ago.
Only thing is, I would like to see this card in Speed Duels.
Oh, Speed Duels, yeah. Speed Duels would be interesting. I feel like it was, I feel like it was, should have been Speed Duel card, but whatever. We may see this in the future. And next we have as an XYZ support. If you must control XYZ Dragon Cannon or a fusion monster on the list XYZ Dragon Cannon as material to activate this card's effect. This card's effect depends on whose turn it is. Your turn. You can target one of your banished unit monster, place it at the bottom of your deck, and if you do, draw one card. Okay? Your opponent's turn. You can discard any number of cards and target the same number of cards your opponent controls. Destroy those cards. You can only activate this card once per turn. Once effect once per turn. It's interesting, but I feel like no one's ever going to summon XYZ Dragon Cannon. Or summon VW XYZ Dragon Cannon, because that's the other one that has its name as a...
material, yeah.
Yeah, so I it's a cool card. I like the artwork, but that's really it. And then we have the two cards.
Yeah, but I don't think you're ever going to use this.
Yeah, and then we have the two cards from the Egyptian the Prismatic God box in OCG that didn't get printed in the Slifer and Obelisk decks for some reason. You have Golden Eyes Idol and Zogo the Prophet. I'm not going to go too much into this card because we're already at 10 minutes in the video. But essentially, like, Golden Eyes Idol is essentially like Thousand Eyes Idol and Relinquish support. It's a hand trap for them. So you can activate this card, look at your opponent's hand. So that's important. Look at your opponent's hand. And this card also becomes Thousand Eyes Idol until the end phase. If this card is banished or sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls, equip that effect monster to one eyes restrict or relinquish monster you control that cannot be normal summoned. So essentially, it only works for the relinquish or the fusion monsters. While equipped by this effect, that monster gains attack equal to the attack of the equipped monster. I mean, it's okay card if you're going for like a relinquished turbo Thousand Eyes Millennium Eyes restrict deck, but it's very niche, very very niche. But I like the artwork.
Yeah, very neat. In most cases, I'm just gonna say this, like, I'd rather run some type of engine that searches instant fusion than activate instant fusion to get Millennium Eyes restrict on board.
Yeah, this is just giving you an additional equip to Millennium Eyes. That's essentially what it is. It's just giving you an additional equip in that one turn.
Yeah.
And then you have Zogo the Prophet. If you control an Earth Fairy monster except for Zogo the Prophet, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then look at up to 5 cards from the top of each player's deck. When a monster that was normal summoned by attributing this card declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict 2,000 damage to your opponent. You can only use each effect once per turn. This is actually interesting. The fact that you can look at the top 5 cards of each player's deck is interesting on its own, and the fact that you can burn for 2k is interesting. I feel like this card should have been in the God decks for sure. This should have been, because Earth Fairy is sort of perfect for the Obelisk deck because Ra's Disciple is a fairy, but I think it's Light Fairy though. But I still think it would have been nice in the God decks just to have it because it's a nice theme, you know. But whatever.
Yeah.
Decent card. Again, another niche card.
Thematically, would have fit very well.
Yeah. And then finally, the card I was looking forward to, hoping for this to come. Number F0 Utopic Draco Future? Not Utopic Future Dragon, whatever. But I can't complain. The card is finally here. I want this deck for my Utopia deck that's going to come out in the future. You can also XC summon this card by using one F0 Utopic Future. You control its material, transfer materials to this card, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Once prepared when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, detach one material from this card, negate the activation. Then if that monster's on the field, gain control of it. I love this card. It's got 3,000 attack, 2,000 defense. It's got a sick artwork. This is going to be one of the money cards on the set. That and Joker's Night. That's my guess. And there's another card in there, which we'll get to. Next is the new warrior card. Guilty Gearfried, the Magical Steel Knight. I believe this isn't going to work in a peer deck just because it requires 2 warrior monsters with different attributes. Once per turn when a card or effect is activated that targets a card, quick effect, negate the effect, and if you do, destroy 1 card on the field. So you don't have to destroy the card you negated, you can destroy another card. If this card was fusion summoned using only monsters on the field as materials, it can make a second attack during each battle phase. Once per turn, if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, you can banish, quick effect, you can banish 1 spell from your graveyard. This card gains attack equal to half its current defense until the end of this turn. Pretty decent. So essentially, this can go up to a 3500 beater. And attack twice. And negate. And pop. Pretty good.
Yeah, I can see this being played in some type of like
Chaos Warrior.
Chaos Warrior, like, or Chaos E-Hero type deck.
This is the Chaos Warrior card I was talking about. This could be their thing. Like I can see a PK like Knights deck. Like I can see that. Then we have Crystal Girl. It's essentially like Ice Barrier support or like water support in general. Like for like I guess Mermills because add 1 level 5 or higher water monster for deck to your hand. And this is a great. It lets you special summon. I feel like this card would have been better if this was Tuner. Because the fact that you could special summon the graveyard, if you control level 5 water monster, would be good. It would have been a nice like rank a level 6 synchro or whatever. I think that would have been nice if this was the tuner, but I still think it's a decent card that you could use. A new Tin Dangle card. Yeah. And new plant supports. We're gonna go well essentially for Tin Dangle cards, it's just like discard some from the hand to the deck, to the graveyard. You could trigger 1 Tin Dangle monster in the graveyard. Except for this card, and special summon in face down defense position. Not bad. Also, if you use a Link Watcher uses this card as materials, can attack 3 times each battle phase. Not bad. Rose Princess. If your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If it's summoned this way, it's a tuner. So essentially, this is like Cyber Dragon for like plants, but also can be a tuner if it's summoned like Cyber Dragon. And then if you want, you can discard this card and add a White Rose Cloister from your deck to your hand, which is the new field spell right here. Which is essentially just special amount of Rose Dragon or plant monster from your hand. And then you can also increase the attacks of level 7 or higher synchro monsters from 1000 attack. You have Morph King Stigigel. Very niche card. It's essentially just like you just gain LP based on like the monsters you target for extra deck. It's a niche card. Then we have the new Synchro monster card, Burning Soul. If you control a level 8 or higher Synchro monster, add 1 card from your graveyard to your hand, except Burning Soul. Then immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro summon using monsters you control as materials. For the rest of this turn, after this effect resolves, your opponent cannot target Synchro monsters on the field with card effects. You can only activate 1 Burning Soul per turn. What do you think about this card, Evan?
Honestly, it could be really, really nuts.
Yeah, it could be nuts.
It's add 1 card from your graveyard to your hand, especially in like a really, really like powerful, like draw-based synchro deck. If this is in with like TG and you draw this and you activate this when you're like climbing, it could like I'm just thinking like off the top of my head right now, but like in Synchron, if you're adding back Doppel Warrior and then when you special summon from grave, Doppel Warrior just keeps recurring back and forth. That could be a really, really good token generator. Mm-hmm. So like being able to get Doppel Warrior to grave, activate this, add Doppel Warrior back to hand, and as soon as you special summon anything from the graveyard, which honestly I'm thinking Martial Metal Marcher, special summon something from grave, Doppel Warrior comes out, use Doppel Warrior, get more tokens. It seems like this could be a really solid card for a lot of synchro decks.
Yeah.
Especially since a lot of synchro decks require you to run through a lot of your extra deck just to like maintain a combo. So this also, even if you're just not returning it, like even if you're just adding, instead of adding to hand, targeting one of your other synchros that you used to climb and putting that back in the extra deck could also be very valuable, especially for cards that are like limited. Yeah. Like Ciphering Gear Gamma. Or not Gamma, sorry, Omega.
Yeah. And then we have some, we're just going to speed up because I think we already almost hit 20 minutes on this video. I mean,
okay.
Well,
Photon Galaxy. Photon Galaxy Dragon support. Okay.
Pendulum stuff.
stuff. It exists. No one cares. Everyone hates pendulums.
Dowsing
Fusion.
It's fusion somebody for pendulums. It actually is. It's for pendulum monster. It's for pendulum monsters only.
Grave, and no one cares.
Eternal Bond. Photon.
Eternal Bond. Okay. More photon support.
Okay. Now we'll slow it a little bit. We'll slow it a little bit because it doesn't disagree.
Queen's Knight, King's Knight, Jack's Knight. They need reprints.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they come as collector rares. We don't know if that's confirmed yet.
Yeah.
Arcana Knight Joker, I'm pretty sure like it's guaranteed to be a collector rare at this point.
And then there's Arcana Extra Joker.
Extra Joker, I mean, I think it's only had 2 printings, I want to say, or 1 printing as a tin promo.
I think it was tin promo, and that was it. Maybe Dual Overlord. I don't remember. I think it was just, I know it was tin promo, but I don't remember anything outside of that though. Gravekeeper Spy. That's the most random card in the set. It's the only card. We don't know.
Honestly, like it's random cards out the wazoo at this point. So Gravekeeper Spy, Majestic Dragon. I have no idea.
It's because of the hype for Dawn of Majesty that's coming out like a month after this set. It's because of that.
I know, but like, the only point, the only thing that doesn't make any sense. They're making a replacement for Majestic Dragon in Dawn of Majesty.
I don't know.
So you'd never have to use Majestic Dragon.
Yeah, they got Stardust Xiaolong. That's a card. Rescue Rabbit. I mean,
I'm pretty sure they just want to put it in as a collector rare, so, I mean, there's that.
It's also because there's normal monsters in the set that you can actually use Rescue Rabbit with, but it's weird. You never use it, though. The ZW cards, because of the whole Utopic support. Tornado Breaker, Ultimate Shield, Eagle Claw. We haven't seen these cards since its initial printing. so I thought this was pretty big. Especially with the new Utopic support coming on Brothers of Legend and this. That's great. Scrap Twin Dragon, Cloud Castle. Cloud Castle hasn't reprint in like years, so I think it's fine they have a Cloud Castle reprint now, especially because Virtual would actually uses the card. Not to go into VFD anymore, but they still use it to have a wall. Scrap Twin Dragon. It's been a while since we've seen that. With the new Scrap Raptor support that came out in Lightning Overdrive, it's a welcome addition. Boxia and Xiaofeng, pretty decent. We haven't had this in a while too.
Honestly, the only reason I think that they're putting even any of these 4 cards in here is because of the Burning Souls.
Yeah, probably. And then you have Utopia. We're definitely going to see this as a collector rare, because we didn't see it in the previous set, because we had it as a Prismatic Seeker rare, or Starlight rare, or Astral Language, Rustral, whatever you call it. So I think we're going to see it as a collector for sure. Dulka. Yeah. Dulka was a nice reprint. We haven't had this in a while.
Reprint. It hasn't been printed in a while. People who want to play Dinos, it's now a little more budget friendly.
I wish we had Lagia on this, but I have a feeling we're going to get Lagia and Brothers of Legend for some reason. Zen Mayo. Why not Barcelona Zen Mayo? Cool. I mean, that's fine. Detach 1 extra card to target 2 set cards on the field, destroy them. Not bad. C39. It's also for the Utopia support. Ptolemy M7. Not bad of a card to reprint. Always a good card to see in cards and decks. Virtual uses this card now as a interruption. Pretty good. ZW Leo Arms. I'm really happy about this card. It's been 10 years since we had this card. Almost 10 years.
This is a strangely expensive card.
Yeah.
It's Cosmo Blazer, right?
It's Cosmo Blazer, 1 printing, Ultra, Ultimate Rare. It's like a $20 card. Fortune Tune. A lot of decks actually use this, and I'm happy to see this because I like to get a copy of myself because I don't have one.
I mean, I'm glad I just hopped on the. Like, I got my Fortune Tune copies before it was popular, back with my Burning Abyss stuff. I have 3 copies, so I'm good on that.
Yeah, we got Utopic Future, because of course we have Utopic Dragon, so you have to give us Utopic Future to go with it, even though we've had Utopic Future like last year in Magical Heroes, but whatever.
As a common?
Yes. Oh, rare.
Was it a rare?
No, it was a common for us, but we're getting this as a rare. It's a rarity bump.
Barely.
Yeah, infinite cards, because there's no limit to the number of cards in the player's hands with this card. Rhoda, because it's a warrior-themed set. Same with Warrior Returning Alive. Ties of the Brethren, just to get out other of the same cards, because I guess it works in the deck, but I wouldn't run it. Paw Duality, which I have a feeling is going to be a collector rare as well. It's a good card. Unexpected Die, just because you have all those no ones in the game. World Legacy Guard Dragon. We were supposed to get this in Dragoonie Drive, our structure deck, which we never got. So I'm glad they're reprinting it this way. So it's another cheaper alternative to Guard Dragon, because I think Guard Dragon is like at $7 or $8 USD or something like that. And then we have the big printing of the set, Lightning Storm. I was excited.
One of the biggest things, it's already been confirmed. Lightning Storm is guaranteed. It is going to be printed as a collector rare.
Yeah, and so we have a feeling, and we think we are speculating that it'll actually show up as a super rare, not an ultra. That's just saying. And we have Rivalry of the Warlords reprint. Converging Wishes reprint, the Wicked Dreadroot, Avatar, and Eraser, and I'm almost certain these are going to be.
Yeah, these are just more things that are to be made collector rares.
Because they're the evil gods. Come on. But yeah, I think that's all we have for the set reveal for King's Court. Sorry for the long video, guys. We just like talking about this because this is very interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion type video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and recommend this to all sorts of videos. And thank you for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Later.
Later.